Hey everybody. Okay, I'm hiking in this little piece of trail that's leading north out of Front Royal. I'm really close to Front Royal. I'm not too far outside of the town, and came across this sign talking about Colonel John Mosby. And yeah, there were significant battles during the Civil War around Front Royal in this area. Union troops were pressing down, trying to get a foothold into the Shenandoah Valley. And there were a lot of efforts to push them back up north. And Colonel Mosby led a group of partisan rangers that really operated like a guerrilla warfare unit. They were allowed to, his team was allowed to live in towns as citizens. And then when they activated to perform a mission, they'd go out, perform the mission, and then come back. So it was really even hard to tell who was in his group and who John Mosby was, and very difficult to track down. And he based his camp out of this area of the trail. And it's so, I just can't believe that these events were happening on these hills. I mean, some days I find it difficult to even just hike with a slack pack, and these were major movements that were happening. But John Mosby, they called him the Gray Ghost. He had this ability to ride in on a mission, very intense, ride in, capture Union soldiers and officers, and ride back out before anyone really even noticed. He was just in and out very quickly. And one of the stories is he came up on an officer sleeping at night and spanked him on the back of his head. And the officer woke up, and Mosby said, Do you know Mosby? And the officer said, Yeah, I know Mosby. Did you get him? And Mosby said, No, I am Mosby. Get up and get dressed. So he had this ability to just rush in, complete a mission, and rush back out, the Gray Ghost. But I'm walking in the part of the woods that this is really where he had his base of operations. So really cool, really surreal to think about the historical events that were happening in this area. Yeah, so I'll be keeping that in mind as I'm hiking, just to kind of wonder what it would have been like for them so long ago. Okay, I'm going to keep moving. I'll catch up with you guys a little bit later. It's a really pretty water source, a really nice creek. But I also love that this area, that they're using natural stones in a lot of places that are located around the area. So they've done a really good job at making bridges and steps and walkways. Yeah, very nice. Okay, just a couple miles into the hike today, and feeling good, feeling strong. I'm moving along the path, really nice. I got an early start, which is great. Temperature's feeling nice. Probably gonna be, a hot one once I get out from the shade. And humidity's a little high, but not really bad at all today. Feeling good, kind of bouncing down the trail a little bit, and hoping to make, just leaving out of Front Royal, headed north, hoping to make Ashby Gap. I think it's another 10 miles or so. So yeah, if I keep moving like this, I'll have a little bit of an early day, and I might get some of my afternoon back. So yeah, moving really nicely. I'm not sure, I haven't really looked at the hike today. I'm not sure if there's going to be views or events. I know there's Mosby sign, but other than that, I didn't really look ahead. So it'll be a surprise. Okay, trail's looking really nice. Just past a little bit of rocks, but nothing at all. So great terrain. Okay, I'll catch up with you later. Okay, I just passed through Manassas Gap not too long ago. I wish I would have taken a picture or a video of the railroad. So Manassas Gap is, I think it might be one of the lowest gaps in the Blue Ridge Mountains in Virginia. And there's a railroad that goes through the gap. And we're not too far from the city of Manassas. That's where one of the first major battles in the Civil War was fought. So yeah, again, hiking right through, areas of major historical events. It's pretty cool. But yeah, Manassas Gap, pretty close to Manassas, and actually not that far from Washington, D.C. Not that far at all, really. Okay, just hiking along, still moving nicely. I'll catch up with you later. So yeah, just to circle back on my video yesterday, when I was walking past that land, I thought it was owned by the Smithsonian. And yeah, I double checked with that, asked the owner of Mountain Home, and yeah, 100% sure. Actually, all of that land, thousands of acres, used to be owned by the Gardner family that owned Mountain Home, and it ended up in the government's hand, and eventually the Smithsonian has some conservation projects going on there now. It's linked with their biological institute, but it's just not endangered species conservation. They're actually working on the American chestnut tree, which has pretty much been eradicated because of the blight. But they're trying to establish the American chestnut tree on that property that's resistant to the blight, and reintroduce it back into the wild. So yeah, pretty cool stuff happening there. I thought that was very interesting. I hope they can make that happen. But yeah, I'm going to do a little bit more research about that. But yeah, very happy to see all that land was dedicated to conservation projects. Pretty cool. Hey, almost to the end of the hike today, and right here at the end is this beautiful bench. It's dedicated in the memory of Helen Eltzer Roth, and it's just a beautiful spot. I've been sitting here for a few minutes just listening to nature. They have a logbook that you can sign, and I've been reading other people's entries, and I wrote something, thank you to the family for doing this. But it's just absolutely a beautiful spot, and it was nice just to sit here before hopping off the trail today and just kind of relax and listen to the birds and listen to the wind and the trees. Very nice spot. Okay, I'll see you in about a mile or so. All right, bye-bye. Wow, this was such a great memorial to their mom. I guess Helen's children dedicated this bench here on the trail. And like I said, there's a logbook that you can sign and leave a little note. But also, Helen wrote a book, and I sat down and read quite a bit of it. I love how she put it together. She's basically passing down stories to her family. It was absolutely amazing. Yeah, a nice break. Thoroughly enjoyed. Okay, hopping back on the trail. Catch you in a bit. Okay, made it to the end of the hike today. Ended up on Ashby Gap, and the trail actually pops out right on John Mosby Highway, which is the kernel that I talked about at the beginning of the day. It's a good place to stop. I've set myself up really nice for tomorrow's hike. Tomorrow's going to be a tough one. Today was relatively fairly easy hike. No views, just hiking in the woods. Very gentle trail. I enjoyed it. I really liked the bench that was dedicated to Helen. That was such a nice thing for her children to do for her. yeah, it was a good hike. I'm glad to be done a little bit earlier in the day, and looking forward to tomorrow's hike. Okay, I'll catch up with you guys later. Bye-bye. Hey everybody, yesterday was my sister Susan's birthday, and thinking about my sisters a lot today during the hike, and thought I'd share a couple of stories of growing up with them. And yeah, I thought about quite a few stories. I wasn't really sure which one I was gonna pass down or not, but I think I'll talk about the school event of 1978. And you know, my sister Susan, you never know what's going to come out of her mouth or what she's going to say or do, and it will either shock you or have you on the ground laughing. And it's like someone looked at our family and said, I'm going to add a little bit of cayenne pepper, and boom, there was Susan, adding the spice, always adding the spice to the family. And we were living in that house on Osso Mill Road. I was probably in the 2nd or 3rd grade at the time. I was around 8 years old, and Susan was around 15 or so. And we were waiting for the bus to come to pick us up and take us to school. Miss Alice Faye was our driver, and Miss Alice Faye Mullins. And we were waiting out there for a little while, and all of a sudden Susan says, come on, we're getting out of here. And basically pulls us back to the house and says, get under the house, get under the house. I have no idea what's going on. I get under the house, she gets under the house. We're laying there in the dirt with cobwebs and spiders. I didn't even know the house had an underneath. And I mean, I was kind of scared, to be honest. I remember laying there looking up and saying, what are we doing? Like, why are we here? What's happening? And she says, we're going to skip school today. And I said, you know, what about Mom and Dad? And she said, we're going to wait for them to leave. And you could hear, we laid there, I don't know how long. It felt like a long time. You could hear Mom and Dad chop, 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 just walking back and forth in the house. And eventually you hear the door close and the car start, and then they left for the day. And we climbed out from underneath the house, and I asked Susan, what are we going to do all day if we're not in school? The big plan was to have a picnic in the field across the street. That was the big plan for the day. So you know, she got a blanket and some snacks, and we went walking down the road, crossed over in the field, and set everything up, and we're just having a dandy old time. And some type of odd, weird field tornado came through, just a gust of wind, and just, you know, threw everything up in the air. And yeah, I'm thinking, what are we doing? I just want to go to school. Susan, I just wanted to go to school. But, you know, leave it to you. You never know where you're going to end up for sure. And that day we ended up in the pasture having a picnic. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, I don't know if Mom and Dad ever found out about that one. I don't know. But I was thinking about another story. We were visiting my beloved Aunt Carrie and Uncle Ray, and they had all kind of chickens and dogs, and that was just the coolest place to go. And Uncle Ray told us, we were never inside the house. We're always out running around. And he said, don't go down by the dog pen, because there's a mean dogs. Those are hunting dogs. They're mean dogs. And the next thing I know, all of us kids are by the dog pen. I don't know what happened next. In my memory, there's a clear, something happened to that film and cut it. My next memory is that every one of us is inside that dog pen, standing on top of the dog house, and those dogs are, rah, 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 rah. I mean, they are just jumping up, biting at us, and I'm scared to death. And I don't know whose idea that was. I'm gonna say that sounds like a Susan idea. So Susan, if that was not you, I need to know, because my whole life I felt like that was your idea. And I have no memory of how I got on that dog pen. the doghouse or anything. I remember screaming and crying, and we had to devise a plan. How do we get out of this? How do we get out of this? I didn't even know how we got in it. And somebody came up with the idea that we're close enough to jump to the fence, hang on to it, and climb up and over. Well, one by one, all the kids did that. I'm the baby in the family. I can't make that jump. I'm too little. Oh my gosh, that was so traumatic. I don't really remember how I got out of the dog pen. I do remember trying to make the jump and struggling. The dogs were getting me, and all the other kids are on the other side trying to get the dogs to come to them. Very traumatic. Very traumatic. But yeah, that was the kind of the stuff. It was just always something going on, adding the spice to the family. But happy birthday, Susan. I hope to see you soon. All right, bye-bye. Hey, so thinking about my sister Pam too, and most of my memories growing up are of Pam trying to take care of me. She was always looking out for me, and I was always doing some cockamamie stunt that was absolutely driving her nuts. And yeah, Pam, I'm sorry. I feel like I need to say I'm sorry a lot to you. I know I drove you nuts. I know I was always that daredevil, just having you on the edge of your seat. And actually, I can't remember how many times I have this memory of you just running off the deck, coming after me. And yeah, so, one specific time, I was always trying to drag up limbs and catch them on fire. It's like, hey, I have a bunch of limbs we need to burn, and catch them on fire. Or I'm always trying to burn off the field or something. And I remember one time I was trying to burn off a small section of the field, and the wind came and totally took it out of control. And it ended up burning several acres of land. As a matter of fact, that was probably in my whole entire life one of the top 3 or 4 times that I had just absolute fear and terror and exhaustion. I was trying to handle that fire all by myself, and it got really out of control. But Pam saw it and came running and helped, and we eventually got it put out. But in the end, I looked down, and I had burned my arm so bad, it looked like it just melted off. It looked like Barbie doll plastic just melted off. And we were going back to the house, and she was just really ripping into me. And the only thing I kept saying is, "Don't tell Mama, don't tell Mama, don't tell Mama." And she says, "I am too telling, Mother. Look at your arm." Yeah, Pam, that was a good call to tell Mom because I think maybe I was in shock at the time. But we ended up going to the hospital. And I remember having to keep that arm bandaged for a long time. And we kept caking this really thick white stuff on it. Silvadine, something like that. But yeah, good call on letting Mom know that. And to this day, I have just a few little scars on my forearm, just as a reminder of, don't play with fire too much, and, be careful. Sorry about that. Sorry about the second time I caught myself on fire too. I know that was traumatic for you also. And I think there was a third time that I almost caught on fire too. So sorry about all of those times. And yeah, that's a lot of my memories is you looking out for me and running off the deck and screaming at me, Tammy Annie, what are you doing? Yeah, I remember being on the motorcycle one time and I was just ripping up the yard, just really going to town and flying by. And the more anxious that you got, it seems like the more I was just to get you going. And yeah, we always had a yard full of dogs,
And at some point, one of the dogs went right in front of the motorcycle, and I had to hit the brakes so hard, the motorcycle ended up just going the back end over the front. I went tumbling through the air. I don't know how I made it. I just kept rolling, and then I jumped up and said, I'm okay. But by the time I jumped up, you were already off that porch and right there. Get off that motorcycle, you're gonna kill yourself. Yeah, sorry about all those times, but thank you for looking out for me. And you know what I'm liking is that now that we're older, I'm still kind of doing a little bit of adventure things. I really like that you're coming along with me on some of these adventures. I really like that, and I hope we get to do more adventures coming up. But yeah, I just wanted to share a couple of stories about my sisters, Pam and Susan. And I love you guys, and happy birthday, Susan. And I'll see you, soon. I'll see you soon. I plan to come to Alabama once I get off the trail. And Pam, I'll see you when I get back to Florida. So, all right, I gotta go for the day. I'll catch up with you guys later. Bye-bye.